mainly because Chris is a very busy person, very important person. We have to let him.
You know what, dude? You're taking a shot at me again. For people that are watching, this guy goes out and orders a freaking pineapple pizza.
Not just a pineapple, a Hawaiian.
Here, I'm not eating that, dude, no matter what you do.
Usually, if there's Chris, there's Jen. If there's Jen, there's Chris. We're kind of a tag team effort.
We're on the same team just 2 seconds ago. Oh, come on.
Now,
but she wants. She's eating.
I do want him to eat the pineapple and pizza, but like I can't.
This is the first and last straw. I'm out of here, you amateurs.
The MSG Sphere loses $100 million. Good Lord, that's a lot of money. Regional AV shows and manufacturers playing nice. All that and more next on AVWeek. This is AVWeek, episode 639, recorded Thursday, November 16th, 2023. Regional AV. This is AVWeek, your weekly wrap-up of audiovisual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. With us to discuss the news and information we have gathered this week, first and foremost, physically standing right next to me, Jennifer Weaver from Starin. How are you?
Thank you. I'm well.
I'll explain why on earth you're in St. Louis instead of beautiful South Florida.
Yes, so. I know. It's lovely weather here. We are here, and I am here for CTI's national sales meeting.
Yep,
and I'm having a great time.
All right, standing right next to you is a CTI-er, Mr. Brian Heidgerken. How are you?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And last but not least, Mr. Chris Neto from Starin.
We used to be friends.
Oh, wow.
Holy wow. It's getting a little warm
Do I
in here.
stand between them, or do I move out of the way?
No, you totally stand between us.
It's been a fun week. Thank you for having me.
He's older and heavier than I
CTI,
am,
not Tim.
First story we're going to have, we are here at the CTI National Sales Meeting. Full disclosure, I work for CTI, run AVNation, but the CTI folks put on a national sales meeting led by the fabulous and talented Tobi Tungl and the entire marketing team. 60 vendors, I think, the last time I counted, and Julian, my ever helpful camera person, can probably tell you it was probably 100 because of the number of people that we've interviewed, but we'll be coming down that pipeline with that. So, first question, and Jennifer, we'll start with you on this.
Yep.
This could be considered a regional show.
Yes.
Right? There are 60 vendors here this afternoon, the afternoon that we're recording. A number of end users will be coming through, tech managers, IT directors. What is the importance of a regional show like this?
Well, from our standpoint, being the distributor, we're up close and personal with the reps. And we can talk to several of them at the same time, understand pain points, what they're doing, what their projects are, talk to them about product. It's hard for us as individuals to hit all of these people individually, especially when they're spread across the country. So when you get them in a group like this, we love it. We love to be here. It's energizing, and we just, get to hear everybody and talk to everybody all at one time.
All right, Heidgerken, from your perspective as one of the attendees here, why is this important for you?
Well, I like it because there's less distraction than at the larger trade shows. So you can have those deeper conversations and exchange those ideas of this is what we're seeing, what are you guys doing to support that? And then, it's not 1,000 people standing around. So we get more one-on-one time.
Yeah. Mr. Neto,
Well,
why is this important?
As a distributor and a partner with CTI, we get to bring new brands and something new and different for you guys. So you may have seen a lot of different brands here that you guys are familiar with. There's obviously new brands here, not just the one that we brought, but we get to bring in Origin Pro and introduce it to your team. So it's good. You got a nice mix of both sales engineers and salespeople, and for us to get a little bit of that one-on-one time with the folks that typically not in my area. I'm in New Jersey. I do travel, but to get out and see St. Louis and see the people in this area, it's interesting.
Last time Chris was in St. Louis had a football team. I'll just point that out.
I've never been to St. Louis, so it was
absolutely.
great.
Yeah. Absolutely. And at one point, it was kind of cool to be in St. Louis.
Wow. Okay. Chris.Neto. Next story. One of our favorite things is
keep digging, Tim.
I got nothing here, dude. The next story comes to us from USA Today. The favorite thing for us to talk about right now is the MSG Sphere. $2.3 billion
It's a lot of money.
work. It's a lot of money. Work of AV and art and technology. Heidgerken, we'll start with you. They lost darn near $100 million in the last quarter. $100 million. So what does this do to the appetite of large, ginormous, bigger than life experiences like this?
I mean, I think, though, they may be losing money now, but everybody's talking about it, right? I travel around.
That and $5 will get you a Starbucks.
I know, they need to start charging people for all the YouTube videos that everybody's sharing. But it's word of mouth. Everybody's aware of it, and so I think maybe their business plan was a little aggressive to start with, but I think they're going to get there. And it's a statement, right? I mean, everybody talks about it.
It's an expensive statement.
It is an expensive statement. It is an expensive, and I'm glad I wasn't involved in the project, because I'm pretty sure they lost money there too. But those large one-off projects tend to be tough.
Very
Well,
tough.
and talking with a couple of vendors here who had smaller hands in it, part of that $2.3 billion, $600 million of that, Chris, was the video walls, right? And this is not just the external that everybody sees; it's also the internal, darn near 190, 200 degrees of coverage. You really do feel like you're in the middle of it when you're inside, as you've seen videos from the U2 experience there. What does a loss like that, from a business standpoint, do to further projects?
It's an acceptable loss. That's my.
It's $100 million.
Hear me out.
They spent
It's
billions on
$100
place.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's $100 million in theory. I mean, relative to $1 billion. But what has it done for Vegas, right? You didn't need F1, and you could have really done a lot just with the Sphere being done this year, and you could have brought F1 next year. But you got 1-2 punch of those two things happening. So what is it doing for tourism? What is it doing for putting people, we forget those things because we're the guys obviously being hired to do a lot of that stuff, right? It's putting people to work inside now that it's finished. How many people were working, how many teams of people, thousands, actually were working on that from all different aspects of it. I think it's a good boost for the economy. It's a good boost for Vegas, right? Because nothing for nothing, in the early 2000s, Vegas went all out with, or 90s, with volcanoes and big fountain shows and
Pirate ships.
pirate ships, and
Yeah, I
that
still
has
miss
not
that.
happened recently.
Eiffel
All the new
Towers.
hotels that are coming are not doing the outdoor show anymore. That was like the free part of Vegas, right? You got to go outside, and what did the fountains of Bellagio do for Bellagio, right? It's an expense. It's outside. Nobody's paying $1 to watch it. The Sphere, it's good for business for Vegas. It's great advertisement for us and what we do, because it's linking not just the construction of it, it's the technology that is around that, the content creators, the artistry, everything that's going in. It's got people interested in what we do on a whole nother level. So, can't go wrong.
Jennifer, $100 million is a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
It's also, assuming that they're still in business in June, it will be available for us to go see in Vegas during InfoCon. So
I'm on that. I want to do that. I want to go see it because I don't think, as much as I love U2, if they were still there, I don't think I'd spend the money to go into it.
It's $100 to park. Just
Right.
want to put that out there.
Well, from my standpoint, being in the AV industry, I want to see what was done and how it was done. Yes, it's cool to see it from the outside, see it from the inside, but I don't want to pay to see the show of U2 to see all of the stuff. I actually want to understand how it was done and what they're doing and the content and how they're creating the content.
Go backstage.
I want the backstage pass
yes,
for it.
absolutely.
Definitely.
One of the things that the technology, if you haven't seen it, first of all, one of the coolest things I still think is in the industry is hypervision. Right? And this is not a commercial for hypervision. I just think they're cool people and they've done some really interesting things. There's a large installation of hypervision, 3D-ish, right? Displays as well as projection mapping. There are frickin' robots in there, okay? That's just kind of cool.
Yeah.
Mr. Neto, last question here. We're going to have a part 2 of this, mainly because Chris is a very busy person, very important person. We have to let him.
You know what, dude? You're taking a shot at me again. For people that are watching, this guy goes out and orders a freaking pineapple pizza.
Not just a Hawaiian pizza.
Dude, I thought you were my friend, dude. Seriously. You know I don't want to
it's
eat that
getting-
stuff. It's sitting there. Now Mitchell brings it in here. I'm not eating that, dude, no matter what you do.
You do know I have to work with him
Eat
on a
it.
daily basis.
I'm not eating
right?
In person,
Usually, if there's Chris, there's Jen. If there's Jen, there's Chris. We're kind of a tag team effort.
We're on the same team just 2 seconds ago. Oh, come
And
on.
now-
But she wants. She's eating.
I do want him to eat the pineapple and pizza, but like, I can't. See,
You all right?
I think I'll be all right.
I don't think I will be. All right.
I'll have to.
What was the last one? Oh, that's right. Second part of this is we're going to have folks from Shure and QSC coming on. They have announced another collaboration in technology. Jen, I'm going to start with you. How important is it when manufacturers of the size of QSC
Yes.
and Shure
Yes.
come together and say, you know what, your peanut butter and my chocolate come together and then make a Reese's peanut butter cup? How important is that?
It's really important, especially from being a distributor that can provide one or both of those type of offerings or be able to bring our manufacturers together to do that. It just shows that people are playing nice in the sandbox.
Yeah.
And for you guys as the resellers and the installers, you're able to say these products play nice in the sandbox because not everybody plays nice.
No.
And to show that two big wigs are coming together to be able to do that, it's just going to open up the world of collaboration and communication and differences in what we can do for our customers. So I think it's a pretty big deal. I'm excited about that.
All right, Brian. Brian spends a lot of time in front of architects, so let's take that angle. How important is it for the design community when products like this work together?
Well, I think it's critical because, like we're trying to pick the right gear for each part of that, and sometimes mixing and matching so that you get not only the right technological experience, but
Right.
What it looks like is important, and as important as how it functions. And so being able to pick the right pieces and put them all together, and then make it easy to support, easy to program, easy to install, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Well, I'll let you two get back to your real
you.
job this afternoon. Jen Weaver, how do people connect with you or Starin?
So they can get in touch with Starin at www.starin.biz. With me, I am on LinkedIn at Jennifer Weaver. I am on Twitter at jweaverstarin. And you can get me at my email, which is jennifer.weaver@starin.biz.
All right, Heidgerken.
I'm easy. Brian H at cti.com.
How did you get the H?
There's many Brians here. There are actually 4 Brian H's, but I'm the first Brian H.
Okay.
And with a name like Heidgerken, it's
really long.
it's tough.
Easy-
So
easier.
or LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn.
Right.
So
If you want to get hold of the prima donna, Mr. Neto, Chris_Neto on the X. You should also, unless he's still pissy on Sundays,
AV in the
AV in
AM.
the AM. Yeah. I don't know what it was.
the
It's a pineapple. It's a pizza.
I know. I'm probably gonna have to really calm him down after that because I would love to see him eat pineapple on
He apparently
pizza.
needs a nap.
We did keep him up late last night.
Sorry. I am sorry, Chris.
is it pineapple or just on pizza?
It's
Just on pizza.
Pineapple
Okay.
on the pizza. Oh, he'll eat a pineapple. It's just on the pizza.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. we
Sorry,
can't.
Chris. I thought it was funny. Yeah, please, okay. Okay. All right, coming up in a second, we'll have our part 2. All right, on to part 2 of our live from the CTI National Sales Meeting. With me are some very distinguished guests, and I'm still here. Cassie Berger from Shure. How are you, ma'am?
Well, thanks for having me.
Good to have you in person
I
as well as
know.
Toby, and as for the first time, Mr. Swiderski. So we'll get him in a second.
I'm a little offended that you call us distinguished, but we'll let it slide.
I didn't say you were old. I said you were distinguished.
It was implied.
Okay, that was Toby Tungl. If you're not watching the video, how are you, sir?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
I am well. You guys, you and your team did a fantastic job this week.
Thanks. They rocked it out.
Yeah. And Matthew Swiderski from QSC. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good, awesome.
Are you sure you want to have me on?
A little late now.
Yes, Matthew, we're already recording.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay.
Good. All right.
making sure.
Same as last time, gang. Just hopefully none of you walk off the set because of a pineapple pizza. Cassie, first question. You and I talked, you were on AVWeek maybe a month or so ago, and we did a story about regional events. And the reason I wanted to bring this story up again is because it's a little personal for me, right? It's in our home, it's in St. Louis, my hometown. It's CTI, obviously, where I work. What is the importance of a regional show like this?
I think there's a couple things, and we did talk, and I think it was only 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's an opportunity to see everybody from the country in one place, it's an opportunity for us to present. So I was able to do a 30-minute presentation, which we talked about last time. The importance of that is I have one message, I have a structured presentation, and I have a room full of captive audience. Captive, saying that loosely. But I have 30 minutes that I can share what I need to share with this room, and then they can come stop by my booth to follow up. I also have the opportunity to meet with fellow manufacturers and fellow vendors, which is uncommon aside from these large shows. So we like to get together and actually communicate, and it's nice to see them.
Yeah. Tobi, same question in same angle as Heidgerken took. This is your show, right? This is your folks coming together. It is the CTI employees. Why is this important for you, for the vendors to come out?
We are celebrating the partnerships that we have created over the last couple of decades. Well, I guess 3.5 decades if you want to talk about our 35th anniversary. These manufacturers are so important to us, and this is a thank you. Outside of celebrating the sales team that's here, educational sessions, these type of events allow us to connect with them on a much more personal level. They get to spend time with the leadership team, time with a lot of salespeople that perhaps they only see a couple times a year or maybe 20 times on video, but never in person. Yeah. That's really important. And those local events, you can't get that anywhere else. The big shows are still very important, but these are really where you can be far more engaged and not be worried about 10,000 other people standing around you.
Yeah. Matthew?
I agree with everything they said. The large shows are a lot of fun, but you feel like you're moving 100 miles an hour. You don't get to have as deep of conversations, and you're trying to, talk to 100 people in a day. Shows like this, it's the conversations are much deeper, right? The smaller setting, smaller groups. You get to catch up with old friends, and maybe make fun of some old friends and things like that.
I think he's implying me.
No, not at all. So they're great. I just think the quality of the conversations that you have with your partners are fantastic. And then, especially when end users come in, right? There's a lot of end users that can't make it to InfoComm for any reason, and you can have some really high quality, deep conversations with those end users. So they're incredibly valued from my perspective.
All right. Tobi, next story. The MSG Sphere, as fantastic as it is and as expensive as it was, those fine folks lost $100 million last quarter, and the CFO quit. So, what does this do for folks who are looking at maybe the next ginormous experience?
The Sphere is pretty cool. Just going to say it, right?
It is.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Is it a $2.3 billion pool?
I don't have that kind of money laying around. I could probably bounce the check if I tried, but
I think that's a felony, by the way.
Ooh, don't record that. Mitchell, take that. The interesting thing for me is we've talked to them about the different events they're holding there. Obviously, they've got the band. I think they're shooting a little too big to start. Okay. I think they need to get far more tactical. I think they need to start bringing in people that perhaps can't spend I don't know what the numbers are. I'll use round numbers for the sake of it. $100,000 for a 10-second spot. Get people that actually want to pay to get people up there and show the value of it. Right now, it's cool smiley faces and weird things that are going on. Like they had a weird Halloween one up there, which was kind of creepy. Yeah. Get people out there to show the value. All right now, it's a bunch of data that they don't even have any real data back on. I like it. I think it's cool. I think it's overpriced.
There was a gentleman on Twitter probably about 3 weeks ago that put the price tag at $500,000 for 10 seconds. Now,
I was a little off.
It was, $500,000 for a 10-second ad.
And the thing about the 10-second ad, somebody in marketing, Tim can appreciate this, there's no way to track that, to actually say, I got a value out of that. It's a cool factor. And I would love to see our CTI logo on that when we go land at InfoComm. Not sure $500,000 for 10 seconds that I may or may not see is potentially worth that.
And the very first, they made a big deal when this happened. The first movie to be advertised on it was Trolls. Now, Trolls is produced by not a very small company, and it's a blockbuster moneymaker for that movie studio. So certainly they probably could have said, let's try this out, and I think that's the level you're going to hit. Unless, Tobi, you're right, they start lowering the price.
There was actually a secondary article that somebody talked about that there was a bunch of people locally that thought it was hacked
because the Trolls
was on there, because it was finally an advertisement outside of what they've been doing, right? Yeah. And it's just interesting from that perspective.
It is. Mr. Swiderski?
So I look at it more as the experience inside the Sphere.
Okay.
And I mean, it was open, 5 days, 7 days by the time those financials closed. So I don't know if that gives you a really good snapshot into what the reality is.
That's accurate.
You know, when I look at it, and we were spitballing, you know, a few weeks ago, a group of us, you know, manufacturers, and think of what you could do in there. And so to me, I mean, I think U2 is just that first step, right? And I would pay to go see it, but you think of bands where that visual experience can enhance it, right? You think a Dead & Company there, you know, for a year, I'd pay a couple grand to go see them. So I think they need to figure out what they're going to use it for, right? And what's going to play the best. But I actually think that they need to go bigger, right? I think that elevated AV experience, especially coming off of you know, the pandemic and years being in the house, like, we need to get out there and start doing those things. And I think that's gonna, I hope it moves it forward, right? We can watch the concert in our house. It's not the same. Get out there and go hang out with some people and enjoy it.
And you need a band like U2, and U2 is one of my favorites, but they have been visual as much as auditory for 30 years. I'm thinking back to the Zoo TV tour, right, where they had giant screens on the stage with them. So you're not going to put, I'm going to pick on Adele for a second, you're not going to put Adele in the Sphere because there's no inherent visuals with her. But you put them, you put Sting, you put somebody who, you know, already has visuals encompassing their act.
Yeah, and I don't even think, like, just outside of music, right? Think about movies, you know, doing the Star Wars score with the symphony orchestra in there, things like that. I don't even think that we know what they're going to use it for, but I think that experience is so elevated that it's going to be pretty powerful.
Taylor Swift should do it.
I was going to say Taylor and Travis engagement.
Oh my
party.
gosh! Okay, now we've
It's going to pay for the entire thing.
You think her tour tickets are hard to get?
Right, exactly.
All right,
I
Cassie
think we're on
Berger,
it.
talk about losing $100 million and what we do with that.
My initial, when I looked at the article, my initial thought was bad project management, bad planning and budgeting, because there's a red flag here waving somewhere saying we did something wrong if we estimated this off, what the return was going to be. So my question is, where did that land? Were you way over your head in the development and the project management of it? Did you totally underestimate what it was going to cost to do this? Or did you underestimate what you were going to be able to do when it was complete? So my question is more, and probably why the CFO stepped down, bless his heart, is maybe there was bad management somewhere in there, and I hope he's not listening to this. That would be awkward. But there's got to be something, because that's a huge miss, and it is a really elevated experience, and I think that is what we need, and I think that's what people want, and U2 has been wildly successful, so how did they get it this wrong? Yeah. That's my question.
All right. Matthew, last question here is QSC and Shure have long collaborated. I'm thinking back to 2017, 2016 even. Now you guys have another instance where you guys are working together inherently. How important is that for manufacturers to work together for the benefit of the end user?
I think it's critically important. I mean, that's the whole thought process behind our technology partner platform. Right? We want to work with like-minded companies to create a much more consistent and positive experience, and it's for end users, it's for our channel partners. It's critically important. You know, one of the biggest challenges in our industry, and going back as long as I've been doing this, right, is pointing fingers. Well, it's your stuff, it's our stuff, right? And I think, we want to take a different approach, right? We want to work with partners that can make it more consistent, easier to deploy, more serviceable, better uptime, all of those factors. And so, Shure, whomever, it's really important.
All right, Cassie?
Service and support. I think that's why Microsoft Teams has deemed so successful and a requirement and certification, and that kind of outlines what partnerships should look like moving forward. Because the biggest thing, for example, with Teams and in any partnership any manufacturer might have is when they deploy a system, who do they call for support? Who do they call for service? Who's going to be able to take those calls? And that's the biggest benefit a manufacturer has in partnering with another manufacturer or being certified under a platform, whatever it might be, is at the end of the day, to Matthew's point, they're going to call somebody and they're going to get a direct line to somebody who can help service their problem. And it's either going to be the integrator calling in or the end user. And so for the end user, I would have a peace of mind knowing that I have partnered products going into my facility and my deployment over having a piecemeal solution and having to call 10 different people to get a resolution to a problem.
Right. Something that most people know is Tobi, before he became CMO, he was also a pretty successful salesperson
Pretty successful.
Sort of successful.
Sort of, well, yeah. And Matthew used to work with us, so yeah. And so did you work at CTI when Tobi did?
I think so.
Wow.
I think we were there together. I think all three of us were there together.
That's scary.
I got the scars to prove it.
Anyhow, Tobi Tungl, how important is it when manufacturers work together for the benefit of the end user?
I'm standing in the wrong spot to answer this question, Ron,
You are.
in between these two.
No pressure.
Yeah. However, my opinion on it is probably a little different. So service support aside, product availability aside, they're both really good at what they do, right? And I think where a lot of manufacturers fall flat is they don't look around and go, hey, we're probably never going to be a kick-ass audio company like Shure, but we should work with them to bring them into our ecosystem. QSys does that. It's a lot of organizations that close those doors and try to be really isolated, and that works for a little while, but the more that QSys specifically, and I'm kind of a fanboy, so sorry.
Thank you.
Continue to open those doors to other manufacturers that do really good things. It's amazing, I think, what we're able to provide as an integrator to our clients. Because there's been, and we all have horror stories of this from 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. Well, this product is what she wanted, and it doesn't do this because it doesn't talk to this. And then you have to have two sub-independent systems that don't work together, and then he's pointing a finger towards her, and she's pointing a finger towards him, and I'm stuck in the middle with a client that's upset. Now, they're certified, they work together, there is no question. Yeah. And we take care of it from that perspective. And to me, I'm really excited about it because there's lots of other stuff going on in the world, and being able to say that we don't necessarily need to manufacture the product, but we have the relationships and trust of other manufacturers is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. IT's already been doing this for years.
100%.
We're just the guys figuring it out now.
And I think partnership, to your point, right, is you can't do everything great. Mm-hmm. So double down on what you're great at, right, and find partners, that are great at, where you're not as great. And I think that's, our philosophy, right, is it's processing, it's control, it's video, right, but on the peripherals, we're not going to make displays and,
You don't want to make Matthew Swiderski displays?
Can I, we're recording this, so if you come out with displays, I'm going to have Mitchell find the audio.
I might get yelled at.
You don't recall ever anybody talking about making displays?
I don't. Yes. Thanks, Tim.
I'm trying.
Build a platform.
Yes.
Right.
But you know what you're good at, and you focus on the
100%.
products, and that's how we are as well. And that's why we find like-minded manufacturers to partner with.
100%. You build a platform, and you allow that ecosystem to grow
and make
up
it the
around
very
it.
best.
Absolutely.
All right, that's a good place to stop. Cassie Berger, I'm sure. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad to have you in at least a little studio.
Yeah.
A portable studio. How do people connect with you or Shure?
Shure.com. Go to our tech portal. That's going to be a sub-site to our consumer page. And you can find me, Cassie Berger, on LinkedIn.
Mr. Tungl?
You can start with CTI.com. That is CTI.com, since that's so hard to remember. And then anywhere in the world is at Tobi Tungl on every social site and every email address you could possibly find.
Your name's that unique?
It is.
I have that username everywhere, so if you, yes.
And your phone number is?
Yeah.
86.
Swiderski?
Yes, sir. QSys.com. Matthew Swiderski. You can find me on LinkedIn. And if you can figure out how to spell my last name, so good
You
luck.
want to spell it
If
out?
you can't, you can email Tungl.
Email Toby, he'll get you my info.
Exactly. For Tim Albright, don't follow me anywhere because I'm pretty boring, but go by the website, AVNation.tv. It's AVNation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others. Mitchell told me that they just recorded a brand spanking new State of Control, so that's coming down the pipeline, as well as a host of others. All that and more at AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. That's all the time we have for AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.